Okay, let's have a look at the test for halides now. So a halide is the negative ion of any group's 7 element. So we've got chloride, bromide and iodide. Now in order to test for these, we need to use a combination of reagents. And that combination is nitric acid and silver nitrate. Okay, so if we use nitric acid and silver nitrate, then that's how we test for the halides, chlorides, bromides, and iodides. Well, step one in this method is to add a bit of nitric acid to each of the test tubes. And what this does is it reacts with any carbonates that could be there, because carbonates will give a false positive result. We're trying to detect chloride, bromide, or iodide. But this test that we're doing will actually also detect carbonates by giving a white precipitate. And therefore we don't want a false positive. So we're going to add a bit of nitric acid, which will clear away by neutralising any carbonates before the test begins. So I just put a bit of nitric acid in each. Okay, there's clearly no carbonates in any of them. But remember that carbonates are very, very common because limescale is calcium carbonate. So, you know, when this glassware gets cleaned, occasionally there'll be a bit of limescale residue, carbonate residue, which could give a false positive with these tests. So the first step of adding nitric acid removes any carbonates before we do the proper test. And the proper test is to add some of this. It's called silver nitrate solution. And silver nitrate will give us a different coloured precipitate depending on which halide we have. So let's remove the stopper bottle. A little bit of the solution. I have to use a different pipette here. That one seems to have broken. So a bit of silver nitrate solution. So into the chloride to begin with. So you can see very clearly, I'll zoom in on that nice and clearly for you, very clearly there that we have a white precipitate for chloride. So that's a white precipitate when we use silver nitrate solution if we have a chloride. Okay, this is the bromide now, and you may be able to see some yellowiness around the top. It's not quite yellow. We say that this precipitate for bromide is more cream. Okay, so white for chloride, cream for bromide. And then finally, let's look at iodide. And very clearly, certainly from here anyway, maybe less so from home, but that precipitate is more of a yellow colour. So I'll just zoom in on that a little bit clearer for those of you at home, adjust the lighting ever so slightly. White for chloride, cream for bromide, yellow for iodide. You can see that yellowish tint there. Maybe the cream's a little bit less obvious, but that is almost a bleachy white for the chlorine, isn't it? And these are all precipitates because they are solids that have been produced.